Welcome to Life in Calgary, Alberta. I'm your host, Patrick Murray, and today we're going to talk about the latest and greatest real estate statistics for the year end of 2024. That's right, we're going to look at the whole year in review and talk about where the market is sitting right now as we go into 2025. But before we do that, if this is your first time in this channel and you want to know everything there is about what it's like to eat, sleep, breathe, live, and play in Calgary, Alberta, then please just hit that subscribe button and click that bell so you get notified every single time I release a new video. Now, I have to tell you, I've lived in several major centers in my adult life, but I settled in Calgary way back in 2001. And not only that, I've been a realtor here since 2010. And all of this means I have some specialized knowledge about the city of Calgary and the surrounding bedroom communities. So if you are considering a move here, or you would like to talk about selling your property, please feel free to reach out to me, send me a text, email, or a phone call. I will absolutely get back to you. All right, guys, let's do this. Let's talk about the latest and greatest real estate stats as of the year end of 2024, right after this. All right, so we're going to look at the latest and greatest City of Calgary market statistics for the end of December 2024. And now that the year is over, we're going to be able to look at the whole year in review to see where we've come from and to better understand where we're going in 2025. And we're going to start by looking at detached homes, then we're going to look at semi-detached homes, row homes, and then we're going to look at apartment condominiums. And something I always say on every one of these videos is we're going to talk about what's called benchmark pricing, because benchmark pricing is a far more stable way of talking about pricing than talking about average or median pricing, because average and median pricing, that data can be skewed by, say, an unusual amount of higher end sales in a month or the exact reverse. So to not have that crazy fluctuation and to have more stable pricing, we're going to talk about benchmark pricing, and that looks at the average house or average property of each property type for each community and puts it all together to create this data. So without further ado, let's jump in to the City of Calgary market stats looking at detached homes. So first and foremost, you're going to see this listing absorption rate of 49.88%. And this arrow is pointing just to the left of the seller's market. In fact, we're just barely into what's called balanced territory for detached homes. In fact, what we really are, guys, is depending on the product type, we're in balanced territory, and depending on product type, we're actually in a seller's market. So that's, but you can see here overall citywide, we're looking at this just barely in the balanced territory, and that's because of, as of the end of December, we had 1,229 listings, with 613 of them, or 49.88% of them, being sold in December. Now, we're going to scroll right down here. We're going to look at this benchmark price, and it is sitting at $747,500. Now, this is down 0.35% from November, but year over year, this is up 7.2% December of 2023. And you can see here to the right to these numbers, this graph, you'll see the first one is a blue graph. It shows December sitting at 697,300 last year, and then you're going to see, the market kind of takes off January, February, March, all the way through to July, and it was going up to a high of $767,800, and then just a gradual bit of decline going on here to this December, sitting at $747,500 right now at this moment. Now, people see this going up, and then they see this going down here, and they get concerned. Oh, well, the market's really softening in Calgary. I have to tell you, this is more about seasonal softening, because if the market was really softening in terms of prices dropping drastically and a great big correction going on, we would see larger declines month to month. Because we're only seeing these little bit here, this is more has to do with seasonal declines. And that's because a lot of people who are moving with their families have already made their purchases for September by August. And so we're seeing a little bit of a softening in the market going down. And then, of course, because of fall and winter, it was going down as well, right? And of course, the other part being people are watching the Bank of Canada and the interest rates going down and thinking, oh, you know what, we're going to hold off on buying. But overall, this is seasonal softening. This gradual decline. These aren't huge declines month to month. Now, let's look at the benchmark price trend chart for the last 10 years. So you can see 2015, a detached home would have cost you $516,933. And now putting together all of 2024 from January to December, the benchmark price for a detached home for the year is $748,683. Again, averaging out all these numbers. And you can see here that, if you look at 2020, the market started to creep up. And then, big decline from 2020 to 21, that 13.7% increase in prices. Then another 14.47% increases in 2022. 2023 saw 7.38% increase, and 2024, 10.79% increase year over year. So that's really, I shouldn't say year over year. I should say for January to December. But that kind of gives you an idea of where the markets come from and how we got there. Now, let's look at the actives and sold. So again, 1,229 actives, 613 sold. Looking at the actives month over month, down 33.68% in the amount of actives month to month, but year over year up 20.49% from December of last year, because last year was a very tight market. Now let's look at the solds, down 29.13% from November. Not surprising, since our supply was also down month to month. However, year to year, prices are up 2.51% from December 2023. Or pardon me, the amount of solds, I should say. I shouldn't say prices, guys. Don't want to confuse you here. The amount of sold properties is up 2.51%. Okay. Now, again, year over year, you would think, hey, this is up 20.49%. Now it's only, for the actives, why are the solds only up 2.51%? Well, again, we're not in the same market. Last year, conditions are very tight. They're less tight this year. Yes, we're still up. However, again, just because of what's going on at the Bank of Canada, that sort of thing, we're seeing a few more properties start to come onto the market, which is also something that normally happens in the wintertime anyway. But I suspect come into, as we approach spring, we're going to see that conditions are going to get a little bit tighter as we move on. Average days on market sitting at 42 days on market right now. And let's look at this chart here. You can see 42 for December, 34 for November. Last December, 34 days on market on average. And again, a different market from December of last year to December of this year. Okay, let's look at the market distributions. The vast majority of the sales in the detached sector were in that $600,000 to $700,000 range, followed by that $700,000 to $800,000 range, and that $500,000 to $600,000 range, that $800,000 to $900,000 range, and then 9.32% in that $1 million to $1.5 million range, and then that $900,000 to $1 million range, rounding out the majority of the sales. So now we're going to look at the semi-detached sector of the market, and looks very similar on the listing absorption chart to the detached sector. You can see here that we're sitting at 49.8% listing absorption rate, which means there were 249 semi-detached homes for sale, and out of those, 124 of them, or 49.8% of those listings, were sold in December. And that just means, again, that we're just barely into that balanced territory. Don't hang your hat on either of those, if it's balanced or sellers, guys. It really depends on where in the market. It depends on the community. It depends on the price point as well. Now, the benchmark price sitting at $677,600 for December. That's up 0.37% from last month. Year over year, it's up 8.42%. So let's look at it here. So blue is the market declining. Black is the market increasing. So you can see that after January of last year, we went up from February all the way through to July, and then some pullbacks, a little bit of pullback again, more seasonal stuff going on here than anything else. But the surprise is that we actually increased from November to December. So you can see it's black from November to December. So again, what does that do? Well, it just kind of further enforces what I said about the market about seasonal softening, because we're not seeing it broadcast along all product types. So again, just kind of more fuel to the fact that we're just seeing some seasonal softening happening in our Calgary real estate market. Looking at this benchmark price trend chart for the last 10 years, in 2015, a property like this would have cost $412,800, the benchmark price average, I should say. And you can see in 2021, we jumped up 29.9% from 2020, and in 2022, up almost 12%, up almost 7% in 2023, and here we are in 2024, up another 10.6%, sitting at an average of $669,042 from January to December. Now, looking at the actives and solds, 249 actives, 124 sold. So month to month for the actives, we're down in supply by 31.4% from last month, but year over year, we are up 36.81% from December of last year. And in the amount of solds, we're down 28.32% from last month. Not surprising, given the supply is down 31.4%, but year over year, our solds are up 6.9% from December of last year. And we would expect that because, we do have more supply from this year to last year. Days on market, 41 days on market, 31 in November. Last year, 33 days on market. Again, a very different market last year to this year. So that's what that means there. And let's look at the market distribution. See the majority of sales in that $500,000 to $600,000 range, followed by the $600,000 to $700,000 range, followed by that $400,000 to $500,000 range. And then check this out. That $1 to $1.5 million range was next, followed by that $800,000 to $900,000 range, followed by that $9 to $1 million range, and then that $700,000 to $800,000 range. So very interesting. And why are we seeing so many sales of semi-detached homes in this higher end? And for those of you wondering what semi-detached is, kind of like a duplex. Well, guys, it's because Calgary has some very nice duplexes out there. So that's what that means. All right, and now we're going to look at the row housing. For those of you unfamiliar with that terminology, guys, it's a townhouse is what that means. So let's look at this listing absorption rate sitting at 47.9%, just into balanced territory, just like not even, just over 2%, 2.1% into balanced territory. So as of December 2024, we had 476 listings for sale last month, with 228 of them, or 47.9% of those listings, selling in December. We'll come down here to the benchmark price trend chart sitting at $447,400. This is down 1.52% from last month, but year over year, it's up nearly 6% at 5.94% from December of last year, when prices were sitting at $422,300. And now here we are at $447,400. And you can see this price trend chart, January through to June, prices were increasing. A little bit of pullback from June to July, actually very negligible, just 0.09%. So almost the same from month to month. And then some softening, half a percent per month, until November to December, where we were down 1.52%. Still not drastic enough to be a market correction, guys. I'm sorry. That is still just seasonal softening occurring here. Let's look at the benchmark price trend chart from 2015 to 2024. 2015, a property in this type would have cost you roughly $323,000. And here we are at this $452,425 in 2024. And you can see that, the market was going down from 2016 to 2020, and then it picked up in 2021, up over 11%, up 14.81% from 2021 to 2022. And then in 2023, up another 12.3%. And here we are up 13.39% again this past year. Now, let's look at the actives and solds. So actives were 476. That is supply, guys. So month over month, this supply is down 27.22% from last month, but year over year, up 65.85% from December of last year. That is really saying something. And that just goes to show how tight our market was last year compared to this year. Now, the amount of solds, 228 solds. So this is down 30.91% from last month. But year over year, this is down 9.88% from December of last year. So guys, keep in mind, this isn't pricing, this is activity that we're talking about. Now let's look down at the average days on market sitting at 40 days. You can see in November we were at 35. Last December sitting at 29. So, a fair bit of increase here, but not out of the norm of what we would normally expect. And just so you guys know, our prices are and activity is still above long-term averages. So even though we're seeing drastic changes year over year from very tight conditions last year to this year, we're still ahead of the long-term trends. Now let's look at the no, I don't want to ask AI assistant. I don't know why that's on there. Okay, here we go. That's better. Now let's look at the market distribution here. The majority of the action coming at $400,000 to $500,000 range, followed that by that $300,000 to $400,000 range, and then that $500,000 to $600,000 range, and then that $600,000 to $700,000 range, and so on and so forth. And let's look at the apartment condominium sector. Now, this is the only outlier out of the product types here. And you can see immediately looking at this listing absorption rate, this is very obviously in balanced market territory. And that means because as of December 2024, we had 1,035 listings for sale with just 357 of them, or 34.49% of those listings being sold in December. Okay. So a little more negotiation room, not buyer's market, not a seller's market, but in that, sitting in that balanced territory. Now let's look at the benchmark price sitting at $332,400 for an apartment condominium. This is down 1.6% from November, but up 6.81% from December of last year. Then you can see the benchmark price trend chart here says last year it was $311,200. And here we are sitting at $332,400. And again, you can see increases from December all the way to August, and then some pullbacks happening through to December right now. So the benchmark price trend chart here for the last 10 years, it would have cost you $292,458 in 2015 to buy an apartment condominium on average. Then you see some decreases in the market because we had huge oversupply in this marketplace. For several years here. We're talking like 7, 8, 9, 10 month supply of properties. And then you can see in 2021, we popped up 2.28% increase, which is great news. 2022, even better, 8.67%. 2023 up over 11%. And here we are up over 11% again in 2024. Looking at the actives and sold listings, actives sitting at 1,035. The solds at 357. So looking at the actives month over month, this is down 30.16% from last month. Year over year, though, the amount of actives is up 53.33% from December of last year. That's huge. And again, a very different market from last year where conditions were extremely tight. Month over month, the solds down 16.78% from November. Year over year, down 10.53% from December of last year. Again, a different market. Days on market sitting at 48 right now, 45 in November. Last year, sitting at just 34. So it'll be interesting to see where this goes. And of course, being historically condos being, apartment condos being less than townhomes or other product types, you're seeing the concentration here being in the lower end. So that $300,000 to $400,000 range was where the majority of sales were happening, and then that $200,000 to $300,000 range, followed by that $400,000 to $500,000 range, and so on and so forth. So, where are we going in 2025? Well, the prediction is we're going to have a very strong year in 2025. With more properties changing hands than this past year. And this past year, I believe, was the second best year on record, followed by the previous year. So, 2023 was outstanding. 2024 was excellent. 2025 is supposed to be very strong and supposedly could outpace 2024. So with more transactions than the other years. So we'll see what happens. We are seeing the Bank of Canada lowering rates. That doesn't necessarily translate into lower mortgage rates immediately. However, if you're looking at those floating rates, you can realize those gains right away, especially if you're a mortgage holder right now. And if you get one of those mortgages, you can write it down if the Bank of Canada continues to lower rates. Now, the outlier is the uncertainty going on with the economy. We'll have to see what happens with the American administration coming in and what that does to the Canadian economy and how that affects homes. I think that might be why some people may be holding back just to wait and see what's going to happen. We know where's Mr. Trudeau has just resigned as of the making of this video. And so that could change our administration here in the coming months, which, depending on what happens, could affect real estate one way or the other. But there are some great incentives for first-time buyers out there, longer amortization periods for mortgages. So, you can get a 30-year amortization. Some other great incentives as well to try and help buyers get into the market to be able to afford homes. For Calgarians, this is a tough pill to swallow, looking at prices and how they've increased in the last few years because it's been so drastic. But comparatively, we're with the other larger centers in Canada, we're playing catch up. And so we're actually very affordable by comparison to the other major centers, and people moving from those other major centers, obviously realize that as well. So that's where we're at. That's the year in review, and that's where we think we're going. Yes, some things to keep an eye on as we move forward. When's the best time to buy a home? Well, a mortgage broker I use says the best time to buy a home was 10 years ago. The next best time is today. And I always tell people the best time to buy a home is when you're ready, when you have the funds, when you're ready to put down a down payment and start looking. That's the best time. If that's you, feel free to reach out. If you have questions about selling your home and you want a market evaluation, please feel free to reach out to me as well.
As I said earlier, if you are considering a move to the city of Calgary or you're considering selling your property, please feel free to reach out to me. Send me a text, email, or a phone call. I will absolutely get back to you so you can live your life in Calgary, Alberta.